The year is 1988. Bill Withers is 50 years old. He has a Grammy. He has songs that will outlive every person alive. He has a voice that made strangers feel less alone at 3 in the morning. And he is done. Not broken, not bitter, not bankrupt. Done. "I don't think I'm missing anything," he said. "I have a lovely wife. I have children. Why would I want to be on the road?" Most artists beg for a career like his. He walked away from it. This is the story of a man who wanted nothing more than a regular life and accidentally became a legend on his way there. Slab Fork, West Virginia, 1938. A town so small, it barely had a name worth remembering. Slab Fork. Coal country. Poverty country. Bill Withers was born on July 4th, Independence Day, the youngest of 6 children. His father died when Bill was 13. He grew up in a house shaped by women. His mother, his grandmother, their faith, their endurance, and a stutter. From childhood, Bill struggled to speak. Words came out broken, hesitant, stuck somewhere between thought and sound. "I had a stutter," he said, "and I found that I could sing the words I couldn't say." That is where the voice began. Not in a studio, not on a stage. In the silence between broken syllables, where music became the only language that didn't fail him. He never saw a speech therapist. There was no clinical fix. What he did instead was quieter and harder. He worked on himself from the inside. He began to care less about the judgment of others and more about his own sense of worth. The stuttering wasn't really a physical thing, he explained. It was anxiety, fear of what people thought. The Navy helped. 9 years of discipline and distance taught him something about confidence, about standing in your own skin without apology. And the music finished the job. The words that broke apart in conversation flowed whole when he sang them. Song became the place where nothing got stuck. His family would later support organizations like SAY, the Stuttering Association for the Young, carrying that story forward for kids who needed to hear it. That the voice that couldn't speak became one of the most beloved voices in American music. The long way around. Bill Withers did not take the fast road to anywhere. At 17, he enlisted in the U.S. Navy. 9 years. Aircraft mechanic. Discipline. Distance. The kind of life that teaches you who you are when nobody is watching. He was discharged in 1965. He moved to Los Angeles with almost nothing. No connections, no contacts, no plan. He worked on the assembly line at a factory that made toilets for Boeing aircraft. He was in his late 20s, then his early 30s. And somewhere in there, almost as an afterthought, he bought a cheap guitar and started writing songs. "I didn't start playing guitar until I was about 29 or 30, recalled. "Most people start a lot younger. I just came to it late. Late, but not too late. The songs came out whole, honest, like they had been waiting inside him the whole time." Sussex Records and The Arrival, 1971. Bill Withers walked into a recording studio for the first time. He was 32 years old. He still worked at the factory. He kept his job through the recording of his debut album, Just As I Am, because he didn't trust the music industry yet. He needed a backup plan. "I was not some young kid with stars in my eyes," he said. "I had been around long enough to know that things don't always work out." The album was produced by Booker T. Jones. The first single was Ain't No Sunshine. 3 minutes and 40 seconds. A man singing about absence, about the particular darkness that falls when someone you love is gone. No elaborate metaphor, no musical acrobatics, just truth delivered simply. I know, I know, I know, I know, I know. 26 times he sang that phrase in a row. His producer told him to put real lyrics there. Bill kept it. Because sometimes repetition is the most honest thing you can say. Ain't No Sunshine won the Grammy for Best Rhythm and Blues Song in 1972. Bill Withers was still working at the factory. The voice in full. What happened next was not a slow build. It was a flood. Lean on me, use me, lovely day, just the two of us. Grandma's hands. Song after song that landed not in the charts, but in people's lives. At weddings, at funerals, in the car at night when the right words couldn't come. His songs did not ask you to admire them. They sat down beside you. I'm not a virtuoso, he said once, but I can suggest things. That was the gift. Not technical brilliance, something rarer. The ability to make a listener feel that the song was written specifically for them, about something they had never been able to explain out loud. Lovely Day holds one of the longest sustained notes in pop music history. 18 seconds on a single word. Day. Not a trick, not a show-off moment. Just a man so full of something he couldn't let go of the word yet. The industry. Fame, it turned out, had a cost. Sussex Records collapsed in 1975. Legal battles, lost royalties, the machinery of the music business grinding against the thing that made him special. He moved to Columbia Records. The albums kept coming, but the joy was thinning. I got involved in the machinery of the music business, he said, and it wasn't something I was really cut out for. Bill Withers was not built for the game. He didn't want to perform a version of himself. He didn't want handlers and handlers of handlers. He didn't want to be a product. He wanted to write honest songs and go home. And home, by then, had a face. Marsha. Her name was Marsha Johnson. Actress. Warm. Grounded. The kind of person, Bill said, who made the noise of everything else go quiet. They married in 1976. They would go on to have 2 children, Todd and Corey. And something shifted in Bill Withers. Not his talent, not his voice, his priorities. I have a lovely wife, he said. I have kids that I like. I have a life that I enjoy. Why would I disrupt all of that? That is not the language of someone who gave up. That is the language of someone who chose. The Exit. 1985. Bill Withers released his final album, Watching You, Watching Me. He did not announce a retirement. He did not throw a farewell tour. He did not sell it as anything. He simply stopped. Stepped back from the stage, from the studio, from the whole apparatus of public life, and went home to his family. For years, journalists and fans struggled to understand it. How do you walk away from Lean on Me? How do you leave Ain't No Sunshine behind? But they were asking the wrong question. Bill wasn't leaving the music. The music was already inside him, in his marriage, in his children, in the ordinary texture of a life lived fully. I have had the good fortune to do a few things that people seem to like, he said, but I don't confuse that with who I am. A regular man. In the decades that followed, Bill Withers became a kind of ghost story. Beloved, invisible, occasionally glimpsed. He gave rare interviews. He showed up to accept his Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 2015 with the same quiet dignity he brought to everything. He didn't write new music. He didn't miss it, he said. Because the thing that drove him to music in the first place, the need to connect, to be understood, to feel less alone, had been answered. Not by fame, by love. "I'm not some frustrated musician," he said with a smile. "I'm a satisfied human being who happened to make some music that people still seem to enjoy." A satisfied human being. In a world that confuses visibility with value, that sentence is almost radical. What remains? Bill Withers died on March 30th, 2020. Heart complications. Quietly, at home. The world was already locked down. The tributes flooded in from everywhere, and then something predictable happened. People played "Lean on Me." Not because they were told to, not because it was trending, because the song was exactly right for a moment when everything felt fragile, and human connection felt more precious and more impossible than it had in a generation. "Lean on me when you're not strong." He wrote that song in 1972. It knew something about 2020 before 2020 existed. That is the measure of a real song. Not chart position, not streams. Whether it tells the truth about being alive. Bill Withers only had about a decade of active recording. 10 years. In those 10 years, he gave the world a handful of songs that will never stop being needed. And then he went home. To Marcia, to his children, to the quiet life he always wanted more than any stage. He never confused applause with meaning. He never let the industry convince him that being famous was the same thing as being fulfilled. "Love is such a strange, powerful thing," he once said. He would know. He built his whole life around it. If this story moved you, subscribe. It helps me keep telling the ones that deserve to be told. At Music Ludo.